But when I watch you, I'm like, okay, strong personality, high self-confidence, comfortable in his own skin, BMF, badass, great communicator, charming, charismatic, persuasive, all this stuff. Stuff he says about women, 5 wives, all, playing around, constant, all this stuff. But I feel a strong level of conviction in traditional values, in conservative values. And then I'm listening to you, I'm like, okay, so I grew up with certain men that have influence over me. Hey, why do you interview all these mobsters? I grew up watching Godfather 2 and Goodfellas and, all the, and there's certain things amongst them that I really respect. Forget about the stuff about, the murder, the killing, set that aside. But certain code they had that they worked together with, it kept things safe. So this is why we like watching Casino. We like watching Godfather. We like watching this. You ask any Fortune 500 CEO, half of them are going to say, what's the movie that influenced you the most? Godfather 2. Godfather 2. Godfather 2. As much as we're like, well, not in real life, but it will be fine, but not in real life. Yeah. But where's the conservative, strong values that you have? Again, this to the average person watching and say, what the hell are you talking about? This is the same guy that talks about women shouldn't drive, women not this, women not this. I feel like it's there. I feel like sometimes you don't fully bring it out. I feel like it's almost like, the saying, I worked with a leader for many years who the saying was, never show hurt. We never show hurt. You never show hurt. You never show hurt. Never show hurt. You never show hurt. And you're like, never show hurt. I'm never freaking showing hurt. Hell no, I'm not showing hurt because I'm not going to let you have one in over me to vulnerable and then you use that to get something out of me. I'm not freaking doing that to you. Never show hurt. Never show hurt. And then the other side is, but if people are going to really know who you are, you got to show a little bit of vulnerability for people to know who you are. For you, values, principles, deep down inside, traditional, is it real or is it just a pure, confusion I have here with my, understanding of you?
No, it's absolutely and utterly real. And I think that it is based in the natural, I think it's a natural tendency to be conservatively minded if you are masculine and also if you are competent. I feel like a lot of my traditional masculine values just come from my respect in myself and my confidence in myself in dangerous situations. Recently I was in the Romanian mountains, it started to snow heavily. There was a blizzard. I was with a girl, it was her car. She goes, oh, we have to drive home. I said, I'm gonna drive. This is my car. I said, yeah, but I'm gonna drive. She said, why? Because this is a blizzard. She's like, well, okay. It's not me being misogynistic. It's just, I know I can drive in a blizzard. I just trust me. I just trust myself. And I trust future self even more than I trust my current self, if that makes sense. So if I have a situation now where I have a play to make and it seems semi-risky, I'll think, well, future Andrew's even better than current Andrew. So future Andrew, 4 years from now, he'll fix it. Let's say it goes wrong. Future Andrew's got it. If current Andrew can pull X off, future Andrew can pull Y off. So we're going to take the riskier option with a bigger reward, for example. Obviously, you don't have to be stupid, but I think that when you have true belief in yourself and you have true competence, you're going to naturally inclinate towards being a protector and a provider and have these conservative values. It's really interesting that the closer a society is to the survival line, the closer people naturally bend to their gender roles anyway. So let's say we take America, right, where you have feminists and hard liberals and all this garbage. If they were all marooned on a desert island, let's say there's a shipwreck, they got marooned on a desert island, one of two things would happen. They'd stick with their Western world garbage and perish, or they would all quickly align to the natural baselines of humanity, gender roles. The men would build and hunt, the women would gather and look after the sick, and then they'd survive. The closer you are to survival, the more important you are. The more important it is that you align to your gender role, because if you don't have a chance of survival. So in countries where it's harder to survive, the more traditionalistic. It's only in very, very privileged societies can we pretend that you do not need a man who can protect himself and others. So that's a very privileged society, right? So I think when you have a hard life and you've lived a life on edge, you're naturally going to be inclining towards those things, towards reality and towards conservative values and towards traditionalism, because that gives you the highest chance of survival. I have a highest chance of survival if I focus on doing X and I am this type of person and the woman next to me is this type of person. And that gives us the best chance. And that makes me a traditionally masculine male and her a traditionally feminine female, especially if you're living a difficult life. Does that make sense? And especially in many parts of the world, that's still true today. In most of the world, that's still true today. We're talking on these podcasts to extremely privileged individuals who want to sit and throw away 98% of how the world functions to say it's bullshit and come along with this brand new thing they've invented for the last 15 years. And I say this often, I say, you find me dangerous that I said something that got me in a lot of trouble, so I'll say it again. I said that if I had to fly, if I was going to get on a plane that was going to fly through the eye of a hurricane, and there was a 50% chance of it crashing, I would prefer a male pilot than a female pilot. Feminist lost her mind, called me misogynistic. I said, no, I think that men are calmer under pressure. I'm not saying the pilot, assuming they have the same skill, I'm talking about just the pressure of the plane crashing. In my experience, men are calmer under mortal pressure than a woman would be. She might panic, and then we're definitely going to die. I'm not saying she would panic. I'm not saying all women would panic. I'm saying if I had to choose male pilot or female pilot for this semi-suicide mission, I would choose a male pilot. That's my life experience, right? Everyone will attack me for that, but that's just the life I've lived. By extension, if I had to drop my children off at nursery, I want to drop them at an all-female nursery. I'd never drop my 3-year-old or 4-year-old kid if I had one at an all-male nursery. That'd be weird. So to me, this is how most of the world still functions. This is how the Western world functioned until 10 or 15 years ago. And I say these things and I'm vilified, but I truly believe I wouldn't be so popular and not so many people would resonate with me if large swaths of the population didn't go, well, he has kind of got a point, I guess. I don't think it's that bad. I think a lot of the world is still quite conservative, even in the West. There's just a very, very vocal minority that have all the control of the narrative that are trying to convince the world otherwise. I think the majority of even happy relationships, a man's a man, the woman's a woman. I think that's pretty standard. Perhaps I'm wrong, but in my experience, it's certainly